Hey, welcome back everyone to the Progressive Brothers Podcast. This is episode 62. Please hit the like button as you come in, share the video if possible, and hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Progressive Brothers Podcast. Also, make sure you follow us on Twitter at brothers_podcast. All right, so today's topic, I want to put together a collage of progressive black men that's going to be on the radar for 2022, who I think you should be following. Now, some of these brothers are running for Congress, some of them are running for Senate, some of them are running for governor, and some of them have other prospects that should be paid attention to. So I want to make sure that we put these brothers on the agenda so that you have something to look forward to and something to keep on your radar. Let's start with the first brother, Dr. Chris Jones. Now, I know of this brother locally, but he is from Arkansas, Pine Bluff to be exact. Chris has a PhD in urban planning and also graduated from Morehouse, so he graduated from the HBCU. He also led the Arkansas Regional Innovation Hub, which is really critical for any sort of environment that's going to be looking forward to, startups and other progressive sort of technologies and industries as a whole. And so he's running for governor. He's married to a PhD himself. He has 3 daughters, and I think that he's going to be running up against Sarah Huckabee, if I remember correctly. And so he could potentially become the first black governor of Arkansas. And based on what his track record is and based on everything I've seen of him, I think that this is somebody that people should pay attention to. If you have any lunch money, $5, $25, make sure you donate to the brother's campaign so that he can have enough ammunition going into 2022 to take this governor's seat. I like to see things like this happen. A brother like this is somebody that could potentially be a rising star in 2028, 2024, 2025. He can go beyond governorship with his background and his knowledge. I think that he is somebody that I definitely think can be influential within black politics. Let's go to the next one. Wes Moore. This is somebody that we featured on the channel before. Wes Moore grew up in Baltimore, and from his background, he served in the military. He also he was the CEO of Robinhood. And so I think with a background of running a large nonprofit organization and having that military combat background, as well as I think he graduated from Oxford School as well in London. He's definitely a shoo-in for Baltimore. He's from Baltimore, and he's a progressive. He has a really strong background in helping people and helping communities and stuff like that. So I think that's somebody that should be kept on the radar. Make sure if you have that $5, $10, $25, make sure you donate it to his campaign. If you have the opportunity to, if you're from Baltimore, if you're from Maryland, put him on your radar. You probably know more about him than I do, but I like what I'm seeing from this brother. He is definitely, he put a book out as well, so make sure you go out and purchase that, or if you get a chance to read that in your spare time. Really influential, another brother on the rise. So I think there may be a future for him beyond governorship. Anything is possible with somebody like him. So make sure you put him on your radar. Next one, Marcus Flowers. So Marcus Flowers is from Georgia, and he is running for that congressional seat against Marjorie Taylor Greene. And he's from Georgia's 14th district. He spent time in the military, really strong background, entrepreneur as well, and also worked in the defense industry. So he knows a thing or two about intelligence and disinformation, misinformation, things of that nature, as well as he's a part of that he's a part of that blue wave. And he's a progressive in that area, and so I think that he is somebody that should be put on the radar. And if you have $5, $10, $25 to give, I think you should give it to this brother. Running against MTG. There is a high probability that he could take out MTG in the next few months. We don't know what could happen to MTG after January. I don't think she's going to be able to retain her seat because she's been taken off the committee post that she had previously. And come time, this around next year after January, I think that it's going to be go time. And I don't think she's going to be ready to really go into a debate against this brother right here. I think he is going to mop the floor with her. Me personally thinking, if my senses are correct about this, I think that he is ready for prime time. So make sure you follow him and make sure you contribute if you can. All right, next brother on the list is Mandela Barnes. Mandela Barnes from Wisconsin, the first black lieutenant governor of Wisconsin. And if he wins the Senate seat, he will be the first black senator out of Wisconsin. So there's going to be a lot of first times for Mandela. So I think keeping him on the radar is going to be really critical because there's a lot of first times that comes out of him, but he's actually a progressive and somebody that does look out for the people's best interest. So let's make sure we support this guy and yeah. All right, who's next on the list? Michael D. Tubbs. So Mike Tubbs is the former mayor of Stockton, California. We've covered him many times before on the Brain Trust and other platforms. You've heard of this guy, this brother. He lost his seat as mayor against his new opponent due to misinformation, not to the fact that he was incompetent. There was a misinformation campaign ran about him on how he managed the UBI funds. It was total nonsense. There was no way to prove that he ever did anything like this, and plus he doesn't have the power to do it. And so they ran a misinformation campaign against him and got him out of his seat. But in reality now, he is under Gavin Newsom, who is the governor of California. Now, why is this important? Because he is now the special advisor to Gavin Newsom for the economic mobility and opportunity. Because of how he handled UBI so well, they brought him in. Keep in mind that even the Trump administration last year had reached out to Mike Tubbs to try to figure out UBI and how it would be best implemented because he had done a phenomenal job with it. I think this special advisor role is going to lead to something bigger in 2022 for him. Anything is possible with this, whether it's I think a congressional seat. If not a congressional seat, I think he may get a higher cabinet role, either within Newsom's cabinet if he remains in office, or within the Biden administration. I think that he's going to definitely play a significant role. He can potentially be under Bernie Sanders or somebody else within Washington as another advisor, similar to like the Deval Patrick. Although he didn't get an official seat, he is a co-chair of the future of technology. And so I think Mike Tubbs has the potential to be more than just the mayor of Stockton, California than he was before. I think they're going to be looking to try to place him somewhere really strong beyond 2022. So I would say keep him on the radar for right now. Who else do we have? Garland Gilchrist, Lieutenant Governor of Michigan. So first black Lieutenant Governor of Michigan, Garland Gilchrist, former Microsoft employee, then turned into entrepreneur and community activist, and then became the Lieutenant Governor of Michigan. And so I think that although he's in his first term now, I think there's going to be something big that's going to come out of him within the administration, because he's in a good position now as a lieutenant governor, but he's severely hampered by his inability not to be able to have more influence. And so his background in being a programmer, he knows different programming languages. He knows how to fix things that are broken. He can really leverage his past skill set in tech into something bigger down the line. So I definitely think that Gilchrist is somebody that should be paid attention to and put on the radar, because it's the right time. He's the right person. He has the right look for the role. So let's keep him on the radar as well. For 2022, I would say pay attention to him. If you don't follow him on Twitter, make sure you follow him on Twitter as well. Gary Chambers is the next person on the list. So Gary Chambers Jr. is former candidate for Congress in Louisiana, and he dropped out of that race. He could have taken that pretty easily, but he dropped out to allow another candidate who had a stronger background take the lead, and he endorsed her. I think 2022 comes around. I think he has a potential to advance beyond where he is right now. He was best known for attacking a woman at the school board for being on her phone and not really paying attention to the issues that were happening at hand. She was shopping on her phone, I think on like Sue Lily or something like that, or Lane Bryant. And so he really called her out, and that's what gave him the rise to fame. As it stands right now, there's nothing really going on in 2021, but I definitely think in 2022 he is going to be a problem when other opportunities become available. So I would say keep him on the radar, because nothing's really going on right now, but 2022 he will potentially be a strong candidate if he gets a better management team, because I think the previous campaign team that he had didn't do justice for him. I think he has a good message, and I think that if you're not following him on YouTube or Twitter, I think you should follow him. And if you could contribute to his campaign, $15, $25, that really helps go a long way for somebody like him. So what I'll do now is I'll play all of their clips, and you make a decision for yourself and let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe.
To me, there's never been a conflict between science and faith. I'm a physicist. I'm also an ordained minister. Now imagine that this stole represents time. Not just my lifetime, but my ancestors and my children. As a Christian, I thank God every day for that time. As a physicist, I know that time is also relative. And with the right amount of energy, you can bend it and be anywhere. My ancestors labored in the soil of rural Arkansas, making my 3 daughters 8th generation Arkansans. By the 1940s, my pawpaw Jesse Torrance, with his 3rd grade education, was driving a truck he couldn't afford to own. But by the 1980s, he was helping me set up my own business. His legacy was entrepreneurship and hard work. 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff. Some lessons were tougher than others. That moment, something opened up in me, a world of science and sacrifice, service and exploration. I knew then that I wanted to be an astronaut. I didn't know that being deaf in my right ear would keep me from flying. 10 years later, I accepted a full NASA scholarship, and my life changed forever. I went to Morehouse College for physics and math, and MIT for nuclear engineering, and a PhD in urban planning. And along the way, God just blessed me. My wife is Dr. Geraldine Jones. She's an Air Force veteran and ER doc. She's my partner and an incredible mom to our girls. And I love being a girl dad. I was also blessed to run the Arkansas Regional Innovation Hub, where we gave access to the tools and technology that Arkansans need to build businesses and create jobs. Arkansas is ready for a big leap forward, but we need the right leaders. The last few years have shown just how easy it is to slip back in time. So that's why I'm running for governor. Taking Arkansas into the future requires improving education opportunities from cradle to career, enhancing infrastructure from bridges to rural broadband, and making available every tool Arkansans need to build businesses and healthy families. It's about living up to our potential. It's about living out our values. It's about working hard together. And my fellow Arkansans, it's about time.
My name is Wes Moore. When I was 3, I watched my dad die in our home. By 11, I felt the feeling of handcuffs on my wrists. My life could have gone a different way, but I was lucky. I had a mom who believed in me before I believed in myself. Kids like me, we didn't think there was a world where anything was possible. We like to say that my mom wore sweaters so we could wear coats. And the dreams she had for herself were replaced by the hopes she had for us. When I lost my way, she sent me to military school, where I learned about leadership, standing up for what's right, and putting others first. I earned a Rhodes Scholarship. I joined the Army and became a captain in the 82nd Airborne Division, where I led soldiers in combat in Afghanistan. I served in the White House. I wrote books about the sad and fragile nature of economic opportunity in America. I built a successful business in Baltimore to help kids go to college. And for the past 4 years, I've been the CEO of one of the country's largest organizations fighting to end poverty. By working the halls of government and the streets of our communities, we fought for bold measures to lift families out of poverty. Ultimately, we distributed over $600 million to support families around the country, including right here in Maryland. Through all of this, one thing has become clear to me. Opportunity is readily available to some and dangerously absent to others. Here in Maryland, we have some of the nation's most prosperous communities and some of its most impoverished. World-class medical institutions and people who can't afford basic care. Some of the best schools and some of the most underfunded. Too many people work too hard, do everything the right way, but it's never enough.
What could our kids be if we actually gave them more opportunities than we had? How much better than us can they be?
And this pandemic has made these inequities even worse. But right now, we stand ready to lead, ready to do something about it. I believe no matter what road you start down, you deserve a path to success. Unlike most who run for office, I know what it's like to struggle, and I know what it is to achieve dreams my parents couldn't have even imagined. I know what we are capable of if we choose hope. If we come together to fight for each other, to open doors for each other, across every neighborhood and every corner of this state. I'm Wes Moore, and this is what I'll fight for as the governor of Maryland.
I'm Marcus Flowers, and I've spent my life serving this country in combat zones across the world. But I never thought I'd see one here in the United States.
Q is a patriot. We know that for sure.
That's Marjorie Taylor Greene's America.
Marjorie Taylor Greene expressed support for executing Democratic members of Congress.
Taylor Greene said that a plane did not hit the Pentagon on 9/11.
Her twisted conspiracy theories may have made her famous, but they haven't done a damn thing to help the people here in our district. And now I'm running for Congress because Georgians deserve better. Better health care, COVID relief, and real representation. My childhood wasn't easy. When I was 11, I moved into a children's home because my parents couldn't support me. So I learned to deal with bullies at an early age. At 18, after graduating high school, I joined the Army. My first overseas deployment was at an intelligence listening post in Central Europe on the doorstep of communism. I spent a decade in combat zones in Iraq and Afghanistan as a contractor for the Department of Defense and held top secret security clearance. I've witnessed firsthand the damage done by extremism, radicalism, and disinformation. And I won't stand by while people in Washington take us down the same path. The Army Corps values teach honor, personal courage, and selfless service. That's what I'll bring to Congress. I hope you'll join me on my next mission.
Excuses are nothing but a dead end, and expectations are something to be shattered. We can't settle for what is. We have to reach for what can be, pushing hard every step of the way, every single day. When the obstacles seem insurmountable, I was taught to draw strength from something bigger, because with faith, anything is possible. There are no idle hands here, no load we haven't carried. No one waiting for a handout or a free pass. But that hard work isn't paying off like it used to. The system isn't working. We see so many people who are working longer hours and harder, oftentimes for much less. And then there's the insurance companies. I mean, they don't even bat an eye if you have to get charged an arm and a leg for even thinking about seeing a doctor. My mom taught school for 30 years. My dad worked third shift at the factory. When I think about their hard work, about everything that Wisconsin families have on the line, there's no option to tap out, no towel to throw in. Instead of changing our dreams, we gotta change the game. That's America at its core. In this state, our state, we were the first to ratify the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. We were the first to protect the rights of the LGBTQ community. We are game changers. It's time for us to stand for something, for opportunity, jobs that we can support a family on, an education that we can build a future on, farms run by our families, healthcare that actually protects our health, the tenacity to tackle climate change, and the principles to protect our democracy and the right to vote. Let's be unabashedly, unafraid to work together to change the game. When you stay focused on why you're running, nothing can slow you down. I'm Mandela Barnes. I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I'm running for the people of Wisconsin.
I remember being hungry, having to hold my mom while she cried, hearing gunshots at night. I remember how hard it was to grow up. I think that quote, "Be the change that you wish to see in the world," is super important because oftentimes people get scared to try to make change because it's like, well, what if it doesn't work? The bigger question is, what happens if you don't do anything? My senior year in high school in 2008, Stockton was foreclosure capital. We were beginning to lead to the problems that caused me to run for office.
The night that Michael was elected mayor is the same night that Donald Trump was elected.
This victory is yours. If certain people hadn't invested in me, I wouldn't be where I am. And I get really excited thinking about what if we did that for a whole city. The issues we're trying to solve, mainly violent crime, poverty, and homelessness, is gonna take some risk. The city's investing money in your future. They tried to bury you, but they didn't know you were seeds.
Joy, I'm encouraged.
This is a good example of what a city, a state, and a nation can be.
The Stockton story is this idea of redemption, taking what was bad and trying to make it good. Good morning. You need Band-Aids or anything?
People get it. They're excited. They've never had a mayor like this before.
I'm tired of talking about where we've been. I'm more interested in discussing where are we going and then how do we get there. How do we upset the setup and continue to push for a world that gives everyone a chance? In the city of Stockton, we believe in justice for everybody.
Most of you know me from this video with Connie.
So I had intended to get up here and talk about how racist Robert E. Lee was, but I'm gonna talk about you, Connie. Sitting over there shopping while we talking about Robert E. Lee.
But I'm gonna talk about Louisiana today. The people of Baton Rouge know me for fighting for health care access in North Baton Rouge, helping change the name of Lee High School to Liberty High, fighting to keep the zoo in North Baton Rouge, and a $300 million investment coming to a divested community. Because change doesn't just happen, we fight to make change happen. Most of your run-of-the-mill politicians, career politicians, will tell you we're doing a great job. But the truth is, we understand that they haven't been taking care of the health, welfare, and the safety of our community. The numbers don't lie. Folks that grew up on streets like this, on Oreo, like me and my complex family story. My mother committed suicide when I was 2 months old, and my father struggled with alcoholism. So my village stepped in, and my aunt and uncle became my mother and father. And communities like Oreo Street and all over this country understand that our fight for change requires that we come together the same way my family did to help bring me forth. We've got to bring our state forward, so our children have a state that they can live in, thrive in, and prosper in, instead of leaving for what they see as greener pastures. We've got to fight for clean air and green jobs, because we understand with the closure of Shell in Convent and the hundreds of jobs that we're losing, if we marry our state to one industry, we are married to their prosperity or their demise. And the future of jobs for our children requires that we look at the Green New Deal. This global pandemic that has shown us the inequities that exist in our healthcare system means that we have to fight for Medicare for all, to give every American a fair shot when they get sick. The truth is, profit should not be the determining factor of the quality of care you get when you go see a physician. It should be about health care and serving people. You have inspired me to jump into this race, to go and fight in Washington for change for all people. I am unapologetic in my positions and unafraid to speak truth to power. It's what I know how to do best, and it's what we need in D.C. What I'm asking you to do is take this journey with me, from East Baton Rouge to West Baton Rouge, to Iberville, Ascension, Assumption, St. James, St. John the Baptist, St. Charles, Jefferson, and Orleans, through all of Louisiana's 2nd Congressional District. We deserve a fighting chance for our children to live out their wildest dreams right here in this state. But we can't be satisfied with being dead last, and we can't elect career politicians if we want change to happen. If you vote the way you've always voted, you'll get what you always got, and we'll end up where we've always been, at the bottom of the map. And what I'm asking you to do is take a walk with me on this journey for change, and let's go make equity, justice, and progress for all people a priority in Washington, D.C. I'm Gary Chambers, and I'm running for Congress. I need your support. I need your prayers. I need you to volunteer and organize, because if we strategize, organize, and mobilize, we're going to win this thing, y'all. Do good. Seek justice. I'll see you at work.
From the prominent high-tech arena in Seattle to the Senate floor of Michigan's state capitol, a young man who has already made his mark in the world of technology and is now breaking barriers in politics as Michigan's first African-American lieutenant governor. Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us today. I know you're presiding over the Senate today, and you have a very full, very important agenda.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Yes, we know, we've come to know you as this prominent local politician over the last couple of years. So tell us where you were born and what influenced this career path in your early life.
Well, I have to say this wasn't the career path that I predicted, but I was born, when I was born, my parents lived on the west side of Detroit. And but before I turned 1, we moved to the east side, and I actually spent the first half of my childhood on the east side of Detroit, right across the street from Martin Luther King High School. And the east side, for people who have a little bit of a reference. And then we moved to the suburbs. We moved to Farmington. And I finished my childhood out there in Farmington, graduated from Farmington High School in 2000, and then went to the University of Michigan College of Engineering. And throughout this time, my childhood, my parents, who, my mother was a career 32 years at General Motors, my dad, 32 years in the federal government, Department of Defense, just hardworking people, had, real jobs, but they also were very involved in our neighborhoods. They were president and vice president of our block club associations in Detroit and in Farmington. So I was always like the little kid who was close to people who were doing activism in the community. My parents also were complete news junkies. So I grew up to this like soundtrack of Motown and C-SPAN and CNN.
Yeah.
This was kind of aware about the politics of the moment from a national level and a local level. So while I never thought that I would pursue it, I got a computer when I was 5 years old from my grandmother. And so I wanted to be an engineer from a very young age, but I was always close to, public policy and these ideas and the populace.
Yeah. So as I was researching, it's fascinating to discover that you were a software engineer at Microsoft and you actually helped to build SharePoint, which is a platform which so many of us utilize at work each day. Tell us about that chapter in your career.
So it was really great. So actually, when I was in college, I got a chance to intern with Microsoft 3 times, and all of them were with the SharePoint team. And I worked at Microsoft full time for 4 years with the SharePoint team. So I actually got to ship 3 versions of that product. And it was a tremendous learning experience. I learned a lot on the job. I was a beneficiary of an internship program that gave me real responsibility. And I really think that's important to be able to expose young people and students to the types of careers that they may like or they may not like. It's okay, but that exposure, the experience working in a professional setting, it really helped me. It helped me mature. I helped recognize what I needed to do to be a, successful and an adult who could contribute at work and in other parts of life. So it was great to live and work at Microsoft. It was a great company. I have to say though, I wanted to be a software developer and I thought that I had to leave Michigan to do that. And so I actually left Michigan after college to move to Seattle. But one of the things I'm trying to do here, and I know we may get back to it later, is I want people who are from Michigan to feel like they have a future in Michigan. And so certainly we're trying to build the infrastructure through education, through jobs to be able to make that possible for every child in the state.
That's awesome. How does that career in technology serve you now in the political world?
Well, I am an engineer in mindset in every sense of the word. And that just basically means I enjoy solving problems. I like making systems work with people. And certainly the realm of public service and of political discourse is about understanding, what are the problems that people are saying are most important to them, and then finding a way to solve them and build that bridge. And so my technical background, training in how to break problems down into smaller pieces so we can solve those small pieces that add up to a solution that works for more people. And one really concrete example of this, last year, even amidst the pandemic, one of the things that our administration is very proud of is that we were able to put in place a program called Clean Slate that automatically will clear the criminal records of certain people who have certain types of offenses, including some felonies for the first time any place in the country. It's the most progressive regime like that in the nation. Doing it in an automated way was really important to me because I believe that technology could remove this barrier to people who've repaid their debt to society from fully participating in civic life. And so I thought about that every day as we work that fight with the legislature, work with the legislature to make that happen.
So you've also made history with your appointment as lieutenant governor. What is the significance of that to you personally?
Well, it was the biggest honor of my career when Governor Whitmer, that's candidate Whitmer, and asked me to join her on the ticket and to be her partner and for us to run together, to be elected together, all of the 10 million people here in the state of Michigan. And, on that day, when we won that election, it was really, exhilarating, except for the fact that my son was asleep through our entire election party, which was pretty funny. But what it represents to me is that, I believe the people of Michigan, the reason they voted for our ticket in part was because our ticket reflected the state of Michigan. Michigan is a big, beautiful, diverse state. We have people from all walks of life. We have urban, rural, Black, white, Indigenous, Latino, immigrants, native born. We have so many people who are represented in our state. And having an administration that truly reflects that, I think that the people of Michigan felt that would, lead to better public service and better public policy. And so having me now in this position as a Black person, as a Black man, a young Black man, I do think it speaks to the fact that, Black folks have made so many significant contributions to the state of Michigan, and to now see ourselves reflected in leadership in this way, I think it's my responsibility to not only do my best as a servant, but also to create space for more diverse leaders, more Black leaders, more leaders of color to be able to step up and play leadership roles in their community in whatever way that makes sense for them.
I know you're certainly influencing other young Black men who see you in this current position and probably impacting so many more lives than you really even realize. So you mentioned your son. So I know your life has really changed as serving as lieutenant governor. You're a twin dad. Tell us in the last few seconds personally what your life's like here.
Well, during the pandemic, we have our twins who are in the 2nd grade in Detroit. They are going to school at home and have been doing so since last March. We also have a baby girl. So our baby girl, baby Ruby, she was born on Juneteenth, 2019. And so my wife is working full time, doing so mostly from home. So I have some of the same struggles with your kids crashing your video meetings and all that stuff that happens to my wife and I daily. We still have to figure out who's going to put the baby down for a nap, to make lunch on the days when I'm able to work from home, when I'm not in Lansing like I am today. And I share that because, you know, our family, while the pandemic has hit us, I don't think as hard as it's hit a lot of Michigan families, but it's been, you know, something that we need to figure out and navigate some of this.
Thanks, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you so much. We appreciate you taking a break out of your schedule to share your story with us today.
Thank you so much.
We continue to celebrate Black History Month and focus on innovators in Detroit. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Open your minds.